The Cannibal Brothers of Pakistan, Arif and Farman Abid. The Cannibal Brothers of Pakistan, Arif and Farman Abid, are notorious for their gruesome acts of cannibalism that horrified the nation in the early 2010s. The two brothers, hailing from a rural village in the Punjab province, were arrested and convicted for exhuming human bodies from local graveyards and consuming the flesh. Their macabre crimes shocked the entire country and led to a nationwide debate about mental illness, law enforcement, and cultural taboos surrounding cannibalism. Background of the brothers Arif and Farman Abid were born in the Daya Khan region of Bakar, Punjab, Pakistan. Not much is known about their early lives, but the brothers were described by locals as quiet and reclusive. They lived together in a small, dilapidated house on the outskirts of the village, and they were known to avoid social interactions with others in the community. Both brothers were uneducated, unemployed, and lived in extreme poverty, which likely contributed to their detachment from society. Despite their odd behavior, no one suspected the horrific crimes they would eventually be linked to. They came from a conservative rural area where traditional religious values were deeply ingrained, making their actions all the more shocking when they were uncovered. The start of the crimes. The brothers' descent into cannibalism began around 2011 when villagers started noticing that bodies were disappearing from local graveyards. Initially, locals suspected that the bodies were being stolen by criminals for illegal organ trafficking or some other sinister reason. However, no one imagined that the bodies were being exhumed for consumption. The first sign of their gruesome activities came in April 2011 when police raided the brothers' home after receiving reports of a foul smell coming from the property. Inside, authorities made a horrifying discovery: the remains of a young boy were found in a pot on the stove. The boy's body had been exhumed from a nearby grave, and the brothers had cooked and eaten parts of it. Both Arif and Farman were arrested and charged with desecration of graves and cannibalism. During their interrogation, they confessed to having dug up and consumed the flesh of at least 5 corpses, though some reports suggest the number could have been much higher. Their shocking confession sent waves of disgust and horror throughout Pakistan, where cannibalism is virtually unheard of and deeply taboo. Arrest and conviction. In 2011, the brothers were convicted of cannibalism and desecration of graves and were sentenced to 2 years in prison. This relatively light sentence was due to the fact that Pakistan's legal system had no specific laws addressing cannibalism, and the brothers were instead charged with desecrating graves under the country's penal code. After serving their sentences, both Arif and Farman were released in 2013, much to the shock and outrage of the local community. The second arrest. The brothers' release from prison didn't bring an end to their disturbing behavior. Soon after their release, reports of missing bodies from local graveyards began to surface once again. In April 2014, police were alerted by neighbors who reported a foul odor coming from the brothers' home, similar to the smell noticed during their initial arrest in 2011. When police raided the house again, they found another horrifying scene: the decapitated head of a 2-year-old child was discovered. It was clear that the brothers had resumed their cannibalistic activities, once again exhuming a body from a grave and consuming the flesh. This time, authorities and the public were outraged by the brothers' repeated offenses and the failure of the justice system to prevent them from reoffending. Both Arif and Farman were arrested again, and this time they faced more severe charges. During their second arrest, the brothers reportedly showed no remorse for their actions and even admitted to enjoying the taste of human flesh. Mental health and motivation. Throughout the case, questions were raised about the brothers' mental state. Some argued that Arif and Farman suffered from severe mental illnesses, including psychosis or schizophrenia, which may have driven them to commit such horrific acts. Others believed that their actions were the result of extreme poverty, isolation, and a complete detachment from societal norms. However, no formal psychiatric evaluations were publicly disclosed, and it remains unclear whether the brothers were officially diagnosed with any mental illnesses. What is known is that both Arif and Farman exhibited antisocial tendencies, preferring to live in isolation and avoid contact with others, which may have contributed to their criminal behavior. The legal aftermath and public reaction. The second arrest of the Cannibal Brothers led to widespread outrage in Pakistan. The public demanded harsher punishments and legal reforms to address cannibalism and other related crimes. The case exposed gaps in Pakistan's legal system, as there were no specific laws dealing with cannibalism, leaving the courts to rely on charges of grave desecration and other general criminal offenses. In 2014, the brothers were sentenced to 12 years in prison for their crimes. While the sentence was more severe than their initial punishment, many in Pakistan felt that it was still not enough to account for the horror and brutality of their actions. Legacy and impact. The case of Arif and Farman Abid, the Cannibal Brothers of Pakistan, remains one of the most disturbing and bizarre criminal cases in the country's history. Their gruesome acts of cannibalism, their repeated offenses, and the apparent lack of remorse, stunned the public and forced the nation to confront the realities of extreme criminal behavior. The case also highlighted the need for mental health awareness and legal reform in Pakistan. Many believe that the brothers' crimes could have been prevented if they had received proper psychiatric care or if the legal system had treated their initial offenses with greater severity. While cannibalism is exceedingly rare in Pakistan and around the world, the Cannibal Brothers case serves as a grim reminder of the capacity for extreme violence and deviance in certain individuals, particularly when mental illness, poverty, and social isolation are involved.